Hello and welcome back everyone to the UPSC Journey. My name is Babita Rani, you're the Hindu Analysis faculty at UPSC Journey. In today's session, we are going to cover the complete Hindu analysis for 14th of April 2026. This session is going to be very helpful for your upcoming exam. After the completion of this session, you can download PDF from a Telegram channel. Link is in the description box. We'll start with the first article. And the first article is regarding MSP price hike for the Kharif crop. So there is an increase in prices or MSP price for the Kharif crop. So this is the context of this article. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs on Wednesday announced that minimum support price that we call MSP for Kharif crop for the financial year 2026-27 season will be increased by 72 rupees per quintal to 2,441 rupees for the common variety. So this is context that there is a MSP price hike for the Kharif crops. And there will be like 50%. It will ensure that MSP will return about 50% over the cost production for each of crop. So first of all, like why it is in news? Because the Cabinet Committee, that is Committee on Economic Affairs, very important. That Committee on Economic Affairs that we call CCEA approve what minimum support price in India. So MSP in India is approved by Committee on Economic Affairs have approved a hike in minimum support price for the 14 variety of crops. Like 14 Kharif crops, there will be a MSP hike for the financial year 2026 for 27. So very important that there will be a 14 crops. So first of all, we have to understand that what is this Committee on Economic Affairs is chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Approved MSP hike for the 14 crops means this committee was chaired by PM, and in this meeting, the 14 crops was selected for MSP hike for the financial year 2026-27. MSP definition is that it will provide a assured price at which government procures crops and will provide a protection to the farmers from the market volatility. Means if the market is not stable and if there is any crisis like situation, then this MSP will help the farmers to have at least a minimum support price for the crop. It's a recommending body. This Committee on Economic Affairs is a recommending body under Commission of Agricultural Cost and Prices. It was established in 1965 under Ministry of Agriculture. Very important. It's approving authority, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, that is CCE. This is a approving committee for MSP hike in India. So if like there is a MSP hike or if there is MSP decrease for any of the crop, the approving authority is Committee on Economic Affairs, very important, and it's chaired by PM. What criteria like this committee consider before increasing or decreasing the MSP for any crop? It consider like cost of production for that particular crop, the demand and supply of that crop, the market price trend, like what is ongoing market price for that crop and what are the requirement to increase that price, or is there any need or decrease to the price of that commodity. Intercrop price parity, so that each crop should get an equal fair price in the market. The term of trade means there will be a different MSP for agriculture and for non-agricultural products. So MSP is declared for 22 mandated crops. MSP is declared for 22 mandated crops. Out of this 22 mandated crops, 14 are Kharif crops, 6 are Rabi crops, and 2 are commercial crops. So as we have seen there, that term of trade means it can be agricultural or it can be a non-agricultural. Like we know the Kharif crop, the Rabi crop, and the commercial crops. So there will be total 22 crops MSP hike, out of which 14 are Kharif, 6 are Rabi crops, and 2 are commercial crops. Additionally, there will be a fair remunerative price (FRB) for sugarcane, means there will be a sufficient or fair remunerative price for the sugarcane also. Although it was not included in 22 mandated crops, but it also noted that there will be a fair price for the sugarcane also. So very important that 22 mandated crops, out of which 14 were kharif crops, 6 were rabi, and 2 were commercial crops. And there are like cereals and core cereals produced by FCI. They will be like procured by FCI of India and state agencies. Pulses, oilseed, this will be procured under Price Support Scheme, PSS, and PM ASHA through NAFED and NCCF. Means they will be procured by different state agencies. It's very important that cotton and jute procurement at minimum support price by Cotton Corporation of India, means these things will be procured by the state agencies or by local agencies, we'll say. Like for cotton, we will have Cotton Corporation of India, and for Jute Corporation of India. There's a special note that there is no maximum procurement limit for jute and cotton. Means there will be a no limit procurement limit for the jute and cotton prices. So here we'll see the MSP crop and the procurement framework. So minimum support price for crops. MSP is declared for 22 mandated crops. We have seen that includes 14 kharif crops, 6 rabi crops, and 2 commercial crops. Plus 6, there will be fair price remuneration for sugarcane, like cereals, pulses, oilseed. So we have paddy, wheat, barley, jowar, bajra, maize, ragi, gram, ahar, tur, moong, urad, lentils, groundnuts, sunflower, sesame oil, and mustard oil. And in the raw cotton, we have raw jute and copra. So this is 22 mandated crops included in the MSP. Now, if we talk about like procurement framework for cereals and core cereals, there will be procurement by Food Corporation of India and other state agencies. For pulses, we have PSS and PM ASHA. For cotton, we have Cotton Corporation, and for jute, we have Jute Corporation, and there will be no maximum procurement limit for the jute and cotton. So very important. So once again, for your exam point of view, that it includes 14 kharif crops, all over total 22 mandated crops, and it decided or approved by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, very important, chaired by PM, and it considered this all criteria before providing a high or maybe providing decrease to minimum support price. So it depends on all this criteria. It was established, Committee on Economic Affairs established under Ministry of Agriculture. Okay, now talking about next article. So next article is regarding don't be self-centered. RTE is for benefit of children, Supreme Court says in TET review case. So there is ongoing case. Let's talk about that there is a mandatory for the teachers to clear a teacher's eligibility test in 2 years or to be compulsory retirement. So there is ongoing concern that for teacher it's required to clear the TET exam, that is teacher's eligibility test, in the next upcoming 2 years, or there will be a retirement or compulsory retirement. So this talk about Right to Education Act, that this Right to Education Act is for the benefit of the children and teachers. For this point of view, teachers will have to clear the TET exam to maintain that effectiveness in the education. So Right to Education of a Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009 exists for the children, and there will be a benefit to the children, and for that that is teachers eligibility test is very much required to maintain that quality education in India. So this is the whole context. RTE Act 2009, it's for the children's benefit, not teachers' job security. Means it's for the it's not that we are providing security or a safe side to the teachers, but this RTE Act is for the benefit of the children. Means children have a right to access to a quality education, and that's why government has mandated to clear the TET exam in the next upcoming 2 years. So in 2025 judgment, in service teachers, like those teachers who are teaching or are in service from classes 1 to 8 in non-minority schools must clear TET within next 2 year or they have to retire. Means either they will clear this exam or they will have to take a retirement or they will be like expelled. They will be expelled from the services. So Supreme Court observation is that teachers should not be self-centered. Means at this moment, teachers should not look it on the thing that if we don't clear this exam, or maybe it will directly hamper our job security. So there's no need to be a self-center. The quality education needs qualified teachers because we all know if teachers are not qualified enough, how they will deliver a good quality in India. That's very important that to maintain a good quality, we need a good teachers or well qualified teachers. So teachers appointed before 31st March 2025 have 4 years to qualify. Means the teachers who are appointed before 31st March 2015, they have 4 years to qualify. Otherwise, the government, like the Supreme Court, has provided 2 years to clear the exam, or either they have to retire. So we have a legal provision. First, Article 21, Clause A, they say that there's free and compulsory education in India from 6 years to 14 years. So Article 21 talks about free and compulsory education in India. Then Right to Education Act 2009, Section 23, Clause 1 say that NCTE prescribe teachers qualification, means there should be a minimum qualification for the teachers to deliver the effective results in the education. Section 23 subclause second say that there is 5 years to acquire qualifications, means they will have maximum 5 years to acquire that qualification or to acquire that TET exam clearance. See, NCET notification, those are 24, TET is mandatory, means now for onwards TET is mandatory. So this was like notified in 2011, but now it's saying that it should be for all those who are like before 2011 also. So it means it's very clear that if you want to be a teacher or if you want to continue your service, you have to clear this exam in the next upcoming 2 year. Or if like you are appointed before 2015, then there will be relaxation of more 2 years. Means you have 4 years to qualify this exam. This is to ensure a good quality education. As we're talking about RTE Act 2009, Section 20 prescribe a minimum teacher qualification should be there. A 5 year grace to acquire qualification, means there will be a maximum 5 year period for to acquire that qualification. The duty of teacher is to maintain regularity, complete the curriculum and essence of learning. Means there should be a complete framework for the complete learning. And it's very important that people teacher ratio norms, it should be met. That in primary levels, there should be a one teacher for every 30 student, and in upper primary, for 35 students, there should be a one teacher. So this is very important that there should be a proper pupil teacher ratio, means one teacher for 30 students, and for 35 students, there will be a one teacher in upper primary levels. So this is about RTE and how this RTE is going to benefit the students, and it required to have a clearance of this TET exam within the next upcoming 2 year. And it provided legal provisions that provide a compulsory and free education between 6 to 14 years. Very important. Okay, talking about next article. This article is regarding the curve of dissemination of porn through apps, and High Court tells Google and Apple. So this is all about that. Delhi High Court on Wednesday asked Google and Apple to take a strict action on the obscene pornographic content through their mobile application hosted on their online platform. So in recent scenario, we have all seen there's increased cases regarding pornography or this obscene content on the internet. So Supreme Court is saying to curb this kind of content on their online platform. So the article is like asking Google and Apple to strictly act against the dissemination of obscene pornographic content through their mobile application hosted on their online platforms. So, legal aspect of the pornography in India is that there is no explicit ban on watching pornography in personal and private space. So, if like we ask, is there any legal provision regarding pornography in India? No, there's no explicitly mention, or there's no like specific law which say that there's a ban on watching pornographic content in their personal or private space. So first is that there is no legal provision for this, but Supreme Court order led to the DOT order led to the DOT means Department of Telecommunication of banning website containing child pornography, because child pornography is a criminal offense under POCSO Act. So it asking, or it providing a guideline to banning this website which containing child pornographic material. According to Right to Information Technology Act 2000, which is amended in 2022, it's a punishable to show children pornographic content. So for this we have a legal provisions regarding child pornography. Means all over there is no provision for pornography in India, but according to the Information Technology Act 2000, which is amended in 2002, the punishable offense is to show a children pornographic content. So this is a legal provision. Relevant sections like section 67 of this Right to Technology Act 2000, that publishing, transmitting obscene material in electronic form is a punishable offense. Section 67 subclause A, sexually explicit material showing is also punishable offense. In section 67 clause B, a child pornography. So all these will be considered as a punishable offense under Information Technology Act 2000. So in this judgment, Supreme Court said that we cannot permit a whole generation of the country to be ruined. We understand all kind of freedom under Article 19, that we have freedom of speech, we have freedom of expression, we have freedom of a thought, but it doesn't mean that we can allow to ruin a whole generation. We understand there's a freedom of articles, there's a freedom of Article 19, but it doesn't mean we allow to circulation of this kind of vulgar content, the court said orally. So there is no law banning watching on pornography in personal space. First of all, very important, that there is no such specific law which ban on pornographic content in India. After the Supreme Court order, the Department of Telecommunication banned several websites on pornographic material containing. As per Information Technology Act 2000, it's punishable offense to show a children any kind of pornographic content. So it's very important that according to Act, it's punishable offense, Information Technology Act 2000, and there is no legal provision and there no legal law which ban on the watching of pornographic content, and it's relevant to Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. So next is like impact of this pornography on children and society. As we all know that this type of content is seen as a absurd scenes will create a kind of dissatisfaction in the next generation. It will create an anger issue, it will create an anxiety or mental distress. So it's going to create impacts associated with anger, anxiety, mental distress, effects like biological, because if this kind of content will circulate, it will impact the biological clock, because in content you will see a very unnatural relations. So this unnatural relation will disturb this biological clock. The daily functioning and the social relationship also get hampered because of this. The sexual addiction. The expert educate that pornography is equal to addiction, means pornography will lead to the addiction. Similarly, the brain effects as drug and alcohol, means it give a similar effects on your brain as drug and alcohol. So it will consider as harmful as a drug and alcohol because it directly relevant to the brain functioning. Next, we have a behavioral impact. Adolescent use linkage to the stronger gender stereotype. It's relevant to gender stereotype, and frequent male viewers more likely to objectify women. Because we all see that in this type of content, usually find a male viewers, and this will lead to the objectifying women. So this is a whole societal impact that how male will see a woman and they will objectify women. So this is like how this obscene content, how this pornographic content is going to impact on the minds of children, on the mind of society, and it will be considered, and it's considered as a sexual addiction. Okay. So next article is regarding Nicobaris oppose proposal for 3 wildlife sanctuaries. So there's ongoing that proposal of 3 wildlife sanctuaries in Nicobar, and now these Nicobaris means the local tribe is opposing. So this is context. Why does the news? Because Nicobar Tribal Council opposed the central proposed to establish 3 wildlife sanctuaries. First is Little Nicobar, second is Mitchell, and the third is Maury Island. So the local tribe or the Nicobaris Council tribe is opposing the government proposal to establish 3 wildlife sanctuaries. Name is first is Little Nicobar, second is Mitchell, and the third is Maury Island. So this is context because it will violate their Forest Right Act 2006, and because of lack of consultation with this notification of sanctuaries on Little Nicobar, Mitchell, Maury Island, local communities feel that they had not consulted with them, and this a one-way communication only. So we have legal concern that it's violate the forest right of these communities, and they have community rights and consultation mandatory required in such kind of scenarios. The Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Act, and later it was reorganized as a Forest Act in 2006. Year of enactment was 2006, means this article, Forest Rights Act 2006, provide that there is a mandatory requirement to consultation with a local tribal groups in any such area before creating any wildlife sanctuary, before creating any development project. So this act was enacted in 2006, which came into force in 1 January 2008, and it administered under Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Very important that this article, Rights of Forest Act 2006, works under, administered under Ministry of Tribal Affairs, not Ministry of Agriculture and Forest Department, under Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Very important. There are legal provision of this act. First is Section 3, Clause 1 recognize that rights of a forest dwellers, scheduled tribes over the land. Is this article provide that there are forest rights of these particular tribes or this forest travelers, forest dwellers of scheduled tribes. There will be a community forest resources, no resettlement until recognition of forest rights completed. There will be a no construction, or there will be no resettlement until the rights are completed. Second, Gram Sabha empowered to protect wildlife, biodiversity and cultural heritage. Means the Gram Sabha has power to protect its wildlife, biodiversity and cultural heritage, and therefore it's mandatory for the government to take permission or to take, a legal, and it's very like important to have their permission before to start any kind of development project or establishment of any wildlife sanctuary into their forest area. So we have legal provision like Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, which provides for the declaration of sanctuaries and national park. Means this act provide a power to the government, Wildlife Protection Act 1972, to declare any area as a wildlife sanctuary or national parks. We have constitutional provision that Article 371 Clause A, 371 Clause C provide provision for the tribal groups. Though Nicobar govern under UT administration and tribal rights protect, there should be a tribal rights protection, and it will be governed under UT administration, yani Union Territory administration. We also have PISA Act of 1996 that talks about principal extension to the tribal region, and this is a Panchayati Raj extension to the tribal areas. So it's mandate Gram Sabha consultation, very important, means Gram Sabha consultation is very much required in the schedule areas before any development project. The provision of Panchayat extension to the schedule areas 1996, very important. It enacted in 24th December 1996, administered by Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Earlier it was under Ministry of Rural Development. So now this PISA Act comes under Ministry of Panchayati Raj, which talk about mandatory consultation in such schedule areas before any kind of development. The purpose of is extended. It's included in part 9th of Panchayati Raj Institute and to the 5th schedule of tribal areas. Very important. This is legal provision. Means there will be a mandatory consultation. There will be mandatory permission from this Gram Sabhas before enacting any wildlife sanctuary, before creating any development project. And it come under Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Enacted in 1996. Very important. Talking about next article, the government double on import of gold and silver. So we have seen that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi appealing that for the next upcoming year, there should be a no import of gold so that current account deficit should be managed. There will be a less import and you should avoid like purchasing this gold. And the government has doubled this effective tax by raising import tax from 9.2% to 18.4%. So this will directly help us to maintain our current account deficit, but this will also lead to some problems like smuggling. Since the Indian, we have very much obsession for the gold jewelry, so definitely there will be a black marketing, there will be a smuggling of this. So this will also create a problem, but this will also help to maintain our current account deficit. And how it's going to impact the economy, this is the full context of this article. So news is that Government of India has increased the effective import duty on gold and silver, rising from 9.2% to 18.4%. Aiming is to manage the current account deficit and aim to manage this global crisis, because by managing the current account deficit means we are going to reduce our imports, and if we're able to reduce that import, we'll able to manage the crisis. Means we have to generate the self-sufficient economy, and by this we can manage the global crisis. So we have policy rationals: conserve foreign exchange for essential imports. Means we should conserve our foreign reserves for essential imports like crude oils, fertilizers, defense, industrial raw material, and critical technologies. Means instead of buying this non-essential commodities or buying of this non-essential imports, we should reserve a foreign exchange for the important of essential goods. For the import of essential goods like crude oil import, for the fertilizers import, because India is importer of all this commodity, crude oil, fertilizers, defense, and raw materials, and for critical technologies. So it's very required that we need to reserve our foreign exchange for this essential commodity rather than buying a non-essential commodity. And by doing this, like conserving a foreign exchange, will able to manage our CAD pressure, means current account deficit pressure, because less the current account deficit means we will be import less, and there will be a stability in rupee value. And due to elevated energy prices and supply chains disruption, so this will help to manage this supply chains disruption. PM appeal is to reduce gold purchase to ease external account stress. So because India is importer of gold, and if we reduce that import, then there will be ease on this stress. There's increase in basic custom duty. Means basic custom duty is increased from 5% to 10%. Agriculture infrastructure and development cess increased from 1% to 5%. As we've seen, the Prime Minister also appealed to less use of fertilizers, pesticides, and chemicals, and should promote economy toward natural farming. So on that basis, agriculture infrastructure and development cess increased from 1% to 5%. Total effective duty means all over duty is increased from 9.2% to 18.4%. Very important. And this will help us to reduce the import. and that import will directly help us to conserve our reserves, and that will help to reduce our imports, and in this whole way we'll able to manage the global crisis. Okay, talking about next article, India is among the largest, sorry, in the same will current forward, that India among the world largest importer of gold, and because of that we have CAD difference, that is current account deficit, and the difference between import and export, we have high value of CAD, and that weaken our rupee, because if we are importing much, import high, and there will be a less export, then this will lead to CAD deficit, and this will directly lead to weakening of Indian rupee. Correct. So by doing this, we'll able to manage our imports. If we manage our import, then they will directly lead to the current account deficit. And if we are able to manage this current account deficit, there will be a rise of Indian rupee. Or we can actually control this weakening of Indian rupee. So control of CAD is very important by import minus export. Lower gold import will shrink this gap, because if we like import less, then there will be a shrinkage in the CAD, and if this shrinkage will ease to have ease pressure on the Indian rupee and external accounts. Inflation management by reducing import of non-essential imports. The government will aim to stabilize external balance and inflationary pressure from the global crisis. Means if we're able to reduce this imports of non-essential commodity, then we'll able to stabilize the balance of this external inflation pressure. So this is about like how this increase in duty of gold and silver is going to change the value of Indian rupee, how this is going to help your manage a current account deficit, and how this will ultimately help you to fight this inflation problem, and it will help to increase in value of Indian rupee. That hit like lowest in this time, 95 rupees around something. So it will help you to control all these problems by managing our imports. So now talking about next article. Next article is about fixed buttons tracking devices in public transportation vehicle. So this is one article where Supreme Court is directing states to have a mandatory provision according to the Central Vehicle Motor Act of 1989. In this, there should be a compulsory installation of speed governance, and there will be a speed controlling devices. There should be a vehicle location tracking devices, and there should be emergency panic button in passenger transport vehicle. Means Supreme Court is providing directions to the state to mandatory provision under public transportation vehicle and under Central Motor Vehicle Act of 1989. Means there should be a proper location tracker. There should be a proper panic button. So in case of situation or in case of panic situation, this will help to solve the problem. So we have Central Motor Vehicle Rule by 1989 that ensure that there should be panic buttons in time bound, and the both the new existing, means it applicable to the both existing and to the new vehicles. Means for it mandating the manufacturing units to already have this feature like before they manufacture. Means there should be a consultation have fitted the news. The Supreme Court on Wednesday directed all the state and union territory to urgently implement the provision of Central Motor Vehicle Act of 1989. Very important. The court bench directed that there will be a strict enforcement of Central Vehicle Motor Act 1989, and there should be safety requirements widely like urgent compliance orders. It comes in Ministry of Roads and Transportation Highway, and it provided a direction to consult manufacturing unit to ensure a new vehicle fitted at manufacturing stage. I mean, there should be have all the feature at manufacturing stage, and if um, like this is for the new vehicles, and for existing vehicle it must be refitted, means there's provision for both upcoming vehicles, means for new vehicle manufacturing, and also for the existing vehicles. It mandated provisions like there should be a speed governance in which the speed controlling devices should be there. There should be a vehicle location tracking devices like GPS monitoring system, and emergency panic button should be there to provide a quick relief in kind of difficult situations. So we have Motor Vehicle Act that was amended in 2019, which provide a strengthened road safety framework, or Nirbhaya Fund scheme. Very important. The Nirbhaya Fund scheme supported installation of road safety devices in buses and taxis. So very important that this act was amended in 2019. So previously we have Motor Vehicle Act in 1989, now it amended in 2019, which provide a framework for road safety also, and the Nirbhaya Fund provide installation of safety device in buses and taxi. It further directed states and union territory to integrate compliance data with the centralized Vahan portal. It is also to collaborate or integrate data with Vahan portal to have real-time monitoring system. So it will help to understand the real-time situations. It will help to provide a real-time situation, and by having knowledge of real-time situation, it will help to provide a real-time or quick resolution in kind of difficult situations. So this is about how Supreme Court have directed the states to implement the Central Motor Vehicle Act of 1989, which provide some mandatory provisions like speed governance monitoring systems, vehicle key location tracking device, GPS monitoring, and there should be emergency panic buttons. And in this, they also stated that Ministry of Road and Transport and Highway must consult with manufacturing units to ensure that vehicle fitted with manufacturing at earlier stage, and there should be already fitted with all these features in all the upcoming or new manufacturing vehicles, or in the existing one they should be refitted. Okay, so the next article is very interesting from exam point of view, that elusive peace means there is no real peace, but it's an illusion or illusive peace. Now the article is talking about that Europe must push for the negotiated settlement to the Ukraine war. We all know that it's long ongoing war, and this long ongoing war is creating a both like domestic losses to the both the countries, as well as it's creating a global instability. So this is creating only illusion of peace. Otherwise, there is no such peace is existing. So this article is all about like how this Europe must push for the negotiation and how both the countries should settle for the peace, because this continue war is putting pressure, like there is a tax increase, rising prices, and deepening glooming in the business sector, because it creating a large gap in the economies. It creating like large increase in taxes, the rising prices of the commodities like oil prices, the increase in steel. So this is creating a very negative impact in the both the countries, in their domestic market as well as in the whole world. So how this is creating a fake illusion of peace, and how the both the countries now need to settle down for the a peace negotiation. So why it is news? Because Europe must push for the negotiated settlement of the Ukraine war. His comments underscore the pressure that he faces, both like in this pressure on the both domestic markets and on the battlefield also, as war he has launched as a special military operation drags into its fifth year, because it's continuous like fifth year and the war is ongoing, which is creating a very negative impact on the both domestic market as well as the international markets or on the global level. So India's in what India move in this, India's next move should be like counter adjustment. and India border adjustment mechanism. Means India should focus on this India border adjustment mechanism. The UAE carbon border adjustment mechanism shift part of its Europe's climate burden onto import by requiring foreign products as a carbon intensive goods, because this burden is not only to the European nations, now it's shifting toward the whole nation through the imports, by the imports of carbon intensive goods like steel, cement, aluminum, fertilizer, electricity, and hydrogen. So, this burden is now shifting to the whole other economies in the form of imports of carbon extensive goods like steel, cement, aluminum, fertilizers, hydrogen, electricity, all these sectors. And by of this, there's a energy markets. Because of this disruption of Russia oil and gas supply, there's a global energy crisis and fuel price hike. And because of this fuel price hike, the countries which are in the lower rank of GDP, the lower in economy, have faced a major challenges because of this rise of fuel prices. Food security also hampered because Ukraine and Russia are the major grain exporters. This is very important, that why this whole supply chain is disrupted, because alone Russia and Ukraine are the most major exporters. So both the countries are exporter of the grains, and because of both involved in this long ongoing war, there's an increase in export of grain. There's a decrease in export of grains, and because of this export decrease, there's a shortage, and because of this shortage, there's a rise of food prices worldwide. So this is creating an impact on the whole economy rather than on the both the countries. And because of this, there's inflation in the economy, supply chain shock, and the global inflationary pressure in the whole world. And this inflationary pressure have higher the cost of import and the global prices rise in steel, cement, and fertilizers. Investment shift, like there's large capital flow toward renewable energy and non-carbon industries, because we have seen that by putting most capital in the re, uh, in the non-renewable resources or in carbon industries, will maybe in future will create same kind of problem. So now there's a capital shift from renewable resources, like toward renewable resources and toward low carbon industries. Second, we have because of this war, this refugee crisis, millions of people have displaced. This create a strain on European social system. Because of this displaced, the people have lost their habitats, people have lost their land, and this created a European social system strain. And there's also a violation of human rights, like civilian casualties were there, like those who have done nothing, the common people have suffered the most, and the war crime allegations. So in this way, this war has not only impacted the Russia, or not only impacted the Ukraine, or not only impacted the Europe, but impacted the whole world economies by in the term of energy markets, in food security, in rise in inflation, and also in rise in prices of like commodities like steel, cement, aluminum, fertilizer, electricity. So now there's a requirement, or there is a push for the negotiation settlement between both the countries to stop this ongoing war. Okay, so next article is regarding the Z Trump summit. So there's a like we in yesterday article we have studied that China's Ji Wang, foreign minister, was not able to attend the BRICS summit because there's going to be a Z at Trump summit in China. And now this article is largely talking about how China and Trump summit is going to impact in the other economies, and how this is going to bring a positive changes, or whether it's going to be a bring a negative changes. Like, is there going to be a diplomatic relations between both the countries, or it going to maybe manage this whole whole ongoing crisis, and how the geopolitical angle is going to be changed for both the countries. because China is Iran's largest economic partner, and we all know because of this America-Iran ongoing war, like USA-Iran ongoing war, this meeting is going to be very like strategic shift toward India, toward Iran and China relationship. So this will going to be a create a rift between Iran and China's war between trade. So how this meeting is going to impact the both the trade economies. So first, why does the news article discuss the geopolitical dynamics of a summit between USA Donald Trump and the Chinese President Xi Jinping, focusing on Iran, oil trade, and global diplomacy. So this is the main concern of the summit, that they're going to focus especially on Iran because of Iran or USA ongoing war, on oil trade because this fluctuation in oil trade has created a very volatile situation in the market, and there's a sharp rise in oil trades prices. So America present stuck in an unwinnable situation and unpopular war. We all know that this war is need to be end because this is no point of struggling in a war where is no winnable situation. So it's a like situation where is no one is winning and no one is losing. So it's a situation where America has stuck, and now it's time to stop this ongoing war. So it undertakes a risky trip to Beijing to seek China intervention for desperately needed off ramp. Means now maybe the USA is trying to have involution or to have a Chinese intervention to stop or to have a peace agreement with Russia on this ongoing war. The host provide a sympathy and help ablated in layered and unhurried manner. So this is like a ongoing situation which has created a very disrupt in the whole economies. We know that China is largest economic partner, and it buy like over 80% of its oil exports from Iran. So this is one concern for the USA, and estimated like this export is estimated up to 45 billion in 2025, and additionally there's like non-oil bilateral trade is estimated about 9 million between both the countries. So there is a large trade relation between both Iran and China. So now the US is trying to maybe trying to this break this partnership of both the countries, because China is biggest exporter of this oil, biggest importer of China and economic partner. Geostrategic cost. USA policies on Iran had a huge economic and strategic cost. We all have seen that because of this USA policies, there's an ongoing crisis, and there's this strategic cost effect to the whole economies, affecting Trump's legacy. Possible strategies. Summit may explore like how to balance this oil trades, sanction reliefs. It may like provide some sanction reliefs and a security of guarantee. So this is a way where both the China and USA maybe explore the summit or may explore the summit on the balancing of trade oil, maybe providing some sanction relief or maybe a security of guarantee. Oil and energy markets. Oil and energy market are disrupted. China Iran oil trade. China buying 80% of Iran oil export, and USA China understanding on Iran direct affects global oil supply. We know that if China will not export or will not have import of this 80% of oil, then there will be a change in both the relations. And sanction and relief are tightening. If sanction ease, Iran oil will return to the market. Because of the sanctions, we all know that there's an increase in prices, and if this sanctions ease, the Iranian oil will return to the market, and this will lower the global prices. And if tightened, the supply will shrink it and the prices will rise. So it depends. Like if there will be a sanctions relief, then there will be a like return of oil in the market, and there will be a lower global prices. And if it tighten, there will be a supply shrinkage and there will be rise in prices. So it depends like what will be the conclusion of this meeting. And again, the foremost trade security. Any blockage or tension rises shipping cost, and there will be a global energy crisis. Obviously, if there's like this ongoing Hormuz trade blockage will ongoing, then they will lead to the increase in shipping cost, and this shipping cost will ultimately lead to the increase in prices. So the conclusion of this meeting, will be like some that G or Trump summit over Iran is not just is going to be a diplomatic meeting. It will directly going to have impact on oil prices, like what both countries have their conclusion. So it will not just going to have a diplomatic meeting. It will directly impact oil prices, the trade flow between both the countries as well as in the whole economy and as in the whole world. The financial stability, if this like ongoing war is will be there, then there will be a less financial stability, and if this will lead to a negotiation, then there will be a stable market or there will be a more financial stability, and there will be a global economic enlightenment. So that depends what conclusion came forward after this meeting. So this is about today's session. Let's do a quick recap of all what we have studied today. First, we have studied about MSP for the Kharif crop and MSP for all the 22 price crops, which included 12, 14 crops, 6 Rabi and 2 commercial crops. And like these prices are decided by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, established in 1965. Then we have seen this minimum support price. Next article was regarding right of have a TET exam and right of education act. We have studied like how it's very much required to have a TET exam within next 2 years. Then we have Right to Education Act 2009, which talks about free and compulsory education from 16 to 14 years. Very important. And there's a provision that there should be a 30:1 ratio in primary levels and 35:1 ratio in upper primary levels. Next article we have seen regarding a pornographic content, like how this is a ban on pornographic contents regarding child pornographic. What are the act like Information Technology Act 2000 amended in 2002, which create a punishable offences to child pornography, sexually explicit material, and publishing or transmitting obscene material in electronic form. So this is our punishable offence under Information Technology Act 2002. Again, we have seen this Information Technology Act and how this is like impacting socially, economically, and this is creating a sexual addiction and how it's changing the behavioral impacts in the generations. Then we have seen the oppose of Nicobar group of these 3 wildlife sanctuaries, and these 3 wildlife sanctuaries are Little Nicobar, Mitchell, and Moray Island. So this is very important. The government have proposed to create the 3 wildlife sanctuaries, but the tribes or the Nicobar Tribal Council is opposing the center proposal of creating 3 or establishing these 3 wildlife sanctuary. First is Nicobar Island, second is Mitchell, and the third is Moray Island. Now, we have Act, that is Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which empowered Parliament or which empowered government to provide or declare any area as a wildlife sanctuary or national parks. Very important. But we have like this PISA Act, which talk about Panchayati Raj extension to the scheduled areas 1996, where the consultation of Gram Sabha is very much required. So we have seen that there is increase in duty regarding import of gold and silver, and how this import is going to increase or maybe are going to create a change in CAD difference, means import and export difference, and this import or export difference will help to manage our CAD balance, means current account deficit balance. And if we able to manage this import, then there will be a increase, there will be a decrease in CAD balance, and that will help to increase in value of rupee or help in control the imports. By this, we will able to manage inflation. Next, we have seen like there should be a panic button according to Central Motor Vehicle Act of 1989. Very important. So, Central Vehicle Motor Act of 1989, which provide that there should be a mandatory provisions of like speed overloading mechanisms, vehicle location tracking, GPS system, and emergency panic button should be there. Then this Motor Act was amended in 2019, which provided road safety framework. And then we have seen a Nirbhaya Fund scheme, and there is should be a integration with Vahan portal to have a real-time monitoring system. And then we have seen this elusive piece that there's time to have stop this ongoing war to create a peace or to create a stability in the market. How this is impacting both domestically and globally. How this is creating impact on commodities like steel, cement, aluminium. There's energy market disruption, food security disruption, and there's a rise in inflation. And how this is creating a violation of human rights, the refugees crisis, the investment shift, like investment is shifting toward renewable resources and low carbon industries instead of investing in steel, cement, and fertilizers. In the next article, we have seen regarding this Xi Trump summit, where this summit is going to have an impact on direct costs for oil trades, trade flow, and financial stability and global economic alignments. So this is about all today's session. I hope you like it. If you have any concern, please let me know in the comment section. And for PDF, you can download it from our Telegram channel. The link is in description. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye bye.